So when did the Depression end?
Well, his first term began. Well, his first term was 4 years. Right in that 4 years, he began to put people to work, and also he formed the CCCs, which was the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Yeah.
And they went out and they took care of to protect America's natural resources.
Right.
So with the large families that were born in that era, and the father having to work, the older boys would get a job with my dad painting.
Oh.
Okay.
Very nice.
And then when he went to work at the Winslow Brothers and Smith, the tannery, then some of my brothers began to go to work from there. See, because he picked boys in the family. It was a good.
And you had 8, and you had 8, including yourself back then.
That's right.
Wow, I mean that's a huge family. So to me it's kind of like it seems like you have more mouths to feed back then, but at the same time you have 8 boys, which were favored because they can go out and do these physical things and make money. So it seems like you would have more income, so to help pull their weight a little bit.
Yeah, well, the older brothers, there's a few of them. They had to start with George, Jim, and Nick, the older ones, and then come on down. But the biggest thing that we had going for us was that the town had plenty of land, and at those days we all had gardens. We had 4 or 5 gardens in the town itself.
You still have a garden to this day.
Right.
I just enjoyed a nice salad with some cucumber and some tomato from the garden.
Yeah, down in South Norwood, there's a big backyard. A lady let us use that backyard. And, then up where the Norwood High is, there was all empty spaces up there. And we had a fellow with a horse who'd go up and dig up the land, and that's where we put our potatoes. And we had other places where we could rent the soil for the summer, and we were all out, having gardens. And
so you guys lived on a high starch diet back then.
That's right. Yeah, that's
because of all the potatoes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that's great. So you guys, I mean, did they have supermarkets and stuff back then?
No, not really. Not supermarkets.
Was it just kind of like little stands, like little carts on the side of the road?
Well, no, there was South Norwood had some meat markets. Mr. Marini had a meat market down, and he catered to it was Syrian and Italian people, and of course he was very good in having them get stuff and then pay once a little bit at a time.
So let me ask you this real quick. You guys were out. You had 8 boys in the family, and how many girls did you say?
2.
2 girls. You had 10 in your family, plus your mother and father.
Yeah.
Okay. Your mother and father came over from Sicily, Italy. They were all 8 at that time in the 1929. All 8 were there kicking at that time.
No.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
No.
So some were born here in America, but some were born in Italy.
Yeah.
Some were born in Sicily.
No.
So your mom and dad came over.
They're all born here.
Do you know the date when they came over?
I wish I have it, but I don't have it with me.
Do you know about approximately how long they were here in America? Because they must have come over on a boat. Obviously, they didn't really have planes back then, kicking it.
Yeah.
So they came through. They came through New York, and they probably saw the Statue of Liberty.
Well, originally I think they were in West Virginia. They came and then they moved up into this.
Oh, they came
area.
to West Virginia.
I think
so.
Down
Jamestown area, down in the Virginia area.
And then a lot of Italians settled down in there, and because of coal mines, you see. And then some of them moved up towards New England.
So they came over. They became citizens. So so the whole family was born in America.
Right.
Okay. Out of the 9 siblings, where do you fall in, as far as age-wise? Are you the youngest, middle?
Oh no, there was George, Jim, Nick, Mario, Francis. So I was about the 8th one.
So you were almost at the end.
Yeah.
So when you were born in 1923, you already had almost all the siblings born.
Most of them.
Okay. Was there a huge age difference between you and all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm asking because I'm trying to figure out during the Great Depression, 1929-30. Who would have been old enough to work? You obviously couldn't. You were 7.
No.
Unless, you had a little piece, a newspaper on the sidewalk saying, "Come get your newspaper," with a hat like that. I mean, I'd buy a paper from you if you were there. But that's about, you couldn't really do a whole lot.
No.
Maybe harvest some potatoes at 7 or whatever, maybe skin some
See,
potatoes.
most of the boys were painting with my dad. See.
So your dad went on paint. He painted houses. What did he paint? Buildings.
Yeah, inside and outside of the homes, wherever they had. He did well with his painting because he had the boys and that. They all
I
were.
didn't know that. See, I didn't know that the Ferraras started in America as painters.
Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting. Do you know, let me ask you this, do you know what kind of brushes did they use? See, now we have like synthetic fibers. Did they use like hog hair, fibers and things like that?
No, it was the old bristle brushes. Not
Yeah, but it was real hair though. It was hair of an animal like Sasquatch or something. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because today it's all synthetic. Anyways, let me ask you this. What is the earliest thing you can remember with using a toothbrush? Did they have them when you were born? And toothpaste? Like, what do you guys have for, like, hygiene? Did you have deodorant? Cologne? I'm sure you guys had cologne. I know you had cologne.
Well, things were beginning to pick up, and I remember before we had Lifebuoy soap.
You had what?
Lifebuoy soap.
Lifebuoy soap.
We went down, regular Lifebuoy, white Lifebuoy soap. And we had a bath. And
did you guys have, did you guys have indoor plumbing in
Yes.
in 1930?
Most of the stuff, well, after when my dad was able to get a house, my dad did all the work to try to convert the house.
Handyman.
Yeah, oh yeah. Any room that was put on or anything in the house, he did, along with the boys. So, and then we had a big barn in the backyard, big barn.
And this was in Norwood.
Yeah, we had a big.
Is the house still around?
Yes, it is.
It is really?
Yeah, it's still around.
Oh, I want to find this house. Yeah. Maybe they're willing to sell it, turn it into a homestead. The Ferrara homestead.
Well, it's now.
Is the barn still there?
No, the barn. After a while, the barn came down. We had a big chicken coop in the backyard. We had a big garden in the backyard, and we also had my brother Jim, who was, I think, second or third in the family. He had pigeons, and he used to train pigeons and have pigeon races and so forth.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Wow. So the Ferraras back when the Ferraras started, as far as this part of the genealogy, other Ferraras came over, of course. But as far as this Ferraras go, you guys were diverse in what you did. You were farmers, you were pigeon people, and you were painters.
Right.
Wow. Right. Now, in Norwood, where they moved to, was it predominantly Italian in the area? Because the Italians came over like crazy back in the day. So didn't the Irish. And you go to Boston, you have the South End, North End, and it's still like that to this day.
Well, we lived in what they call Swedeville, but it wasn't.
A lot of Swedish.
Well,
a lot of blonde hair, blue-eyed people walking around.
In my street alone, just my street alone, Cedar Street, and then there was a railroad tracks in which divided us from South Norwood, where most of the people were Syrians and Lithuanians and Italians.
Really?
Yeah, but my street alone, we had English, Italian, Irish, Swedish, Finnish, German, just on my street alone. I mean, we had what you call a neighborhood.
Neighborhood?
It was
That's a melting pot.
Yeah, right.
Geez, if I lived there, I would feel like I was a part of the Olympic Games. You know what I mean? You watch them on TV and they got all the, Finland and all this stuff. It's the Olympics. Yeah.
Well, it was strange. We had almost every nationality around.
And so, but being back then, that's kind of like, that's almost 100 years ago. America as a nation has been established for what, 200, a little over 200 years now. So that's almost half of like our nation right there, almost half.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of like all these people were kind of establishing themselves in the beginning, and that was kind of it. You guys, your parents came over on the boat, and I'm sure that these other people did as well. So all these people, I'm assuming, they all spoke their language, and they didn't speak English.
Yes.
They didn't speak English well. Is I guess what I'm getting at here.
Well, the English people did, and stuff like that. But we mostly were in between Italian and in my family.
So it wouldn't have been odd to walk down the street and walk by someone and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And they'd be like, and they'd be speaking some weird language.